Hello and welcome. My name is Ajax Post and this is episode 2 of my Train Fever Let's Play. Anyway, where are we? The first episode was the first 5 years, a fairly speedy run through of just setting up my first few routes. So I've got fairly sound passenger routes set up within the first 2 towns, both fairly large. It's best to go for a fairly large town to start with, so you've got passengers to play with, to move around. And one thing I like to do is make use of the land use overlay, so I can make sure I've got the route going around all the different types of business: residential, leisure, industrial, commercial, so people can get to and from work and go to play and so on. So that's in the first 2 towns, Teignmouth and Fakenham. They're quite separate. And I've set up my first goods route from raw materials, from a forest to a sawmill, from here to here, and 2 routes, one down to Teignmouth and one going to our third town, Gisborough, which has no passengers yet. It's not a terribly big town, only 124. The others have got over 200, but the provision of goods should boost that a little bit. The only trouble was I got the route wrong, entirely wrong to start with. I tried to send the actual raw wood to Gisborough rather than the manufactured goods coming out of the sawmill. So that's why this route is still showing a negative here. So at the end of the 5 years, I've finally come round to making a profit in that last year, 1854, and all the routes are showing a reasonably nice return. The nice positive balance sheet on them. So what are we doing now? Well, what I was talking about at the end of the last episode was actually bringing my 2 towns together here, creating a link between these 2 fairly sizable little towns, 235 and 201 population, along the riverbank here, largely because it's reasonably flat. So it shouldn't be too expensive in terms of inclines and tunnels and stuff between the 2. And there's a road which sort of goes between the 2 but doesn't actually join up. So I've got a choice of either going across the river or just across the land here. But another thing I noticed just as I was setting up this recording was we've got a nice little industrial chain we can put in here. We've got an oil producer here and an oil refinery over there. They're fairly close. There's a road between them and also a road into Gisborough. So we could actually feed 2 levels of goods, or 2 goods products, into that town, which would bring it up quite nicely, I think. So what we'll could then do, of course, is establish a passenger link between Gisborough and Teignmouth as well. So that's what we'll do. First off, what I'll do, because it's relatively straightforward, is I'll get this industrial link going. So let's just put down my first stations. Let's get rid of all this gubbins and let's get ourselves into build mode and build some transport options. Our first wagon is on its way. So we've set up a fairly... I've used just a small cargo terminal here for the oil field itself. We've only got sort of outgoing transit there, so there's not going to be too much competition for space. Of course, if this gets really busy, I may need to increase that. And over here at the oil refinery, I've used a larger cargo terminal. because again I've got incoming and outgoing traffic here, so the oil coming in, and I'll put down the depot and I'll purchase the wagons for delivering the oil. Actually, if I check that, is it actually, because some of the game does have its own sort of AI, its automated systems where it can actually, as you can see here, wood is being delivered automatically down from the forest to a sawmill, and that can happen between any of the industries, but it's not happening here. So there's no goods coming out of that refinery. Indeed, well, actually it does tell us there are 3. Well, I'm not sure how it's doing that. so rather than wasting money, I'm very cautious when it comes to spending money on the game. In the game, I mean, it sort of follows my own natural predisposition anyway. I don't like being in debt, so I try to live within my means, as it were. So, which is why in the first episode I cut down my initial $2 million loan. I've already repaid 500,000 of that, just because I don't like wasting money on interest, really. Now, I was watching another Let's Play just the other day with a guy who does something quite different, where he sets up a lot of his towns and his routes and the infrastructure of his map really early, and lays down lots of expensive actual train routes at the beginning of the game, which I tend not to do, as you can see, and other road transport on the basic sort of Keynesian economic model, if you will, that you have to spend money to make money. So what he's saying is that by actually making sure you've got a well-designed town, bus routes and cargo routes and train lines, fast and efficient on the map, they will start bringing in money quite quickly, and it will actually recoup all that money you spent within a fairly good order. You won't actually lose money. That's a risky strategy for me. I'm not sort of bold enough to do that. We might do it at some point, but not at this stage of the game. Largely because things are just so slow at this stage of the game, particularly the trains. I mean, the wagons are slow, but I mean that's par for the sort of age. We're in the 1800s here, so everything is slow. So that's fine. But people are willing to live with that. They're not used. It's not the modern age where people expect things to be fast. So they'll cope with things being slow. Okay, now our first wagons from the oil field are coming up. So I will just check what we've got here. How much have we got waiting? We've got 1 waiting. Okay, so I can quickly build my terminals, my depots rather, here. And what I do is I try and find one of the cheapest locations to stick it. Well, that's quite cheap, isn't it? 10. Should I stick it directly opposite? Oh, why not? What difference? What could possibly go wrong? Okay, now what we're going to do, actually, before I do that, we'll set the line up. A new line, and this is going to be going from Lower Banbury oil well, and that will come into the Gisborough depot here, and we'll call that Gisborough goods. Can I call it goods? No, I can't. I've already got a goods line. Actually, we'll call it petrol, because that's sort of the good you would get out of an oil refinery, isn't it? Well, among all sorts of other oil-based products. So let's get some road vehicles. We'll change those to goods. We'll buy 1, 2, 3, 4 of those to start with, and we'll set them all for Gisborough petrol. There they go. So they'll start picking that up, and while they're doing that, we could do with adding some more oil tankers to here. Otherwise, if we don't keep vehicles here, I think waiting to collect whatever the product is, the cargo, the AI will decide it's quicker and simpler for the AI to deliver it rather than using your vehicles. So you end up with just a ton of vehicles here sitting around waiting for things that aren't actually going to arrive at your cargo terminal. So they will be there. Right, that's excellent. Now which one? Which one was it? The Gisborough Goods. Was that the last one I set up? I think it was. So they are actually starting to make money. By the look of it. Look at that. 21k earned. Right. So I've got all my old lines from episode number 1 now in profit, and I'm already turned, what is it? Oh, it's just about turning the end of this 6th year. There we go. And I've turned another nice 100k profit. This is doing very nicely. Okay, now I'm going to leave, how is Gisborough? 124 still. I'm going to leave that for a moment to develop. Now, how are my goods here? Actually, I think I'll add in a couple more of these goods vehicles just to make sure we capture. I'll put 3 in, shall I? I'm not actually keeping an eye on my money. I'm actually reasonably good. I'm 500k, so I've made money, I think, since I started the episode. So that's going to Gisborough Petrol. There you go. So they'll sit around there waiting for that. The only slight issue here, of course, is, and we saw this on my first goods route, is whether the incoming supply traffic will interfere with and get in the way of the outgoing traffic. Oh, I didn't set. Oh no. Hang on. Let's pause this thing. Right. Yeah, I didn't tell my vehicles to actually wait to have stuff to deliver. Oh, Adrian, you see, too busy talking and not enough time spent actually monitoring what I'm actually doing. Right, so Gisborough Goods. Oh, that's the old line, isn't it? So it's Gisborough Oil. We want to make sure that's a full load, and the same for petrol. Oops, a full load there from the refinery. Have we actually got anything waiting here? Nothing. Okay, well, I think those 2 lines are probably going to be losing me money for a little while, but at least my other, oh my goodness, look at that. Gisborough Wood is 250k pretty much. Yeah, in profit already. That's nice. And the passenger lines are still doing, the bus lines, the B1s, they're still doing quite nice business. It's all very steady, which is very positive. So we're going to leave Gisborough for a moment to develop. Where's that oil going? Let's just speed it up again. Oh, is it going over there? There's another refinery over there. How curious. You would have thought, I don't know, maybe it's a direction of travel. It goes in that way rather than up that way. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, okay, so I'll stop distracting myself. I have a habit of doing that, I'm afraid. Okay, let's see. I'm going to pause this for a second while I consider the options. As I said at the end of the last episode, the 2 options really here are to simply go along the land route here, along the side of this incline, put my contours on, go along the side here, which is reasonably flat, but I suspect, as you see, there's a grey line here, if you can make it out, that we may hit some incline issues, or a slightly shorter route going with a bridge over here. Let's see what the costs are. Can I get a quick estimate of that, do we think? So I'm going to use the same old country road. No, not a small one, it's a medium one, isn't it? Which, interestingly enough, has a speed limit of 37, which is faster than the in-town roads, well, apart from the biggest one anyway. Okay, which is a nice speed at this time of the game, seeing as the wagons don't go above, I think, 15 or 16 mph. Anyway, so if we were to draw that, not enough space, why not? See, that's 27 over there. Why wouldn't it let me do it? Oh, there it goes. So just drawing that up there. That's 232k, which looks like quite a nice flattish road. There's some embankment cutting going on. Not a great deal. So that's 232. I mean, I can adjust these by doing it in smaller segments, which is what I often do. Certainly when I'm... Oh, heck. That's a lot more expensive. There's an issue sometimes with just not enough space to do what. So, I'm by no means an expert at this game. If you haven't already worked out, you certainly will as we play on. That roads tend to make odd curves when you start drawing out your lines. Why is that? It doesn't want to make a natural. I'm not sure what it's colliding with. Well, that's 477. That is still quite expensive. It's not cutting tunnels, but it is I think cutting a fair. Sorry, but just my mouse control in this game isn't the best. It is cutting out from the side there, so I think I will go for the bridge. That's probably going to be the quickest and simplest way of getting down there. It makes use of existing roads, and I can still access that oil field over there. There's a road already in place to use that. So, okay, how's best to draw this? Let's get myself down here. Okay, there we go. That's an interesting little junction. Do I want it like that, or do I want something? That's 228, 221. It doesn't want to. It doesn't want to play with putting it along there. You see, that's not too bad from there. It could be a bit shorter though, couldn't it? See, cutting down there makes it a lot more expensive. Why is that? I don't like this not enough space. Do you think it's hitting these rocks or whatever? There we go. Enough space for what? I wish I understood. So I'm mumbling to myself here. Let's see, that's 75. Oh, that's 120. That's even cheaper. It's a big long bridge, but I'm sure that's actually flatter. Well, that's good, isn't it? I think that's what I will do. We will accept that. That is splendid. It's a bizarre looking bridge, to be honest. If I was a bridge engineer, I would probably have gone for something a little bit straighter. Do you think I could have saved money if I'd drawn that along there? Well, it's too late now. I've made that. The money has been spent. So, right, where have I? Oh dear, sorry, I've clicked the mouse and gone in an entirely strange place. Right, let's get out of that. We're not building roads anymore. Now, can we create a route between our two major towns here? So there's our passenger hub, or our first passenger station there, and the one here, it's on that side. I'd obviously planned for this, you see. I'd obviously planned for it. They're on the same side, so there's not too much traffic to worry about, or they don't need to go through the town to get to the connection. So let's do that, shall we? Right, let's create ourselves our new line. It's going to be a very simple one. Where should we start? We'll start... Actually, I should have started. So all this dragging the mouse around and going to odd places. We'll start here, and we'll go here, and that, shall we? Is that all we'll do? We won't worry about going to any, because the stagecoaches within the town will pick up and deliver here. I hope people who want to travel to the other town. So let's do that. So what should we call this line? How much space have I got here to type? Mouth. Castle Fakenham. B1. Just in case I have more than one bus route between these two towers, it's a little unlikely. Right. Actually, what I'll do is we'll set up a couple of stagecoaches. Let's actually get the game running. We'll set up a couple of coaches from both directions. So we'll set the line to Taymouth to Fakenham. Now where's it going to go? Now is it going to start? It's going to go to its local terminus? Excellent job. Right. We'll have a couple coming from here. More stagecoaches, and we'll set them to the same line, and excellent job. They've obviously spotted their nearest passenger terminal and are heading off over there. Right, so let's have a quick recap of where we are financially. Our two new cargo lines are still in the red, which is a little worrying. Well, they are carrying oil now. Looks like he's probably on his way back, going to Lower Banbury with no oil. That's not on. Because it might have been one that was already en route before I corrected my my loading, and he's going to Upper Gainsborough. I'm not going to worry just yet on those. So we've got a couple of new cargo routes setting up, feeding into Gisborough, which is going to be our next focus of development, I think. Everything else is coming along nicely. We've got this new passenger route. Ah, heck, there you are. You see, that's the trouble with having, let me just pause this so I can get a grip. So we're already collecting passengers waiting, so we've got 11 here already. Wait, 12 now, waiting to go to Teignmouth from Fakenham. So let's buy a new stagecoach here. Actually, let's buy 2, shall we? And set them to go on that route. Now hopefully the others are off, I imagine, empty. So they're just going to waste me a lot of money on that long route. But they will eventually, if that's anything to go by, in this fairly short time, we're gaining a fair number of passengers here. So I can click on the stagecoach. There he is. So, oh, he's a local bus. There we go. They've picked up 5, and you've picked up 5 too. So there they go, heading off into the sunset. Okay, now it's currently September. Can they get there before the end of the year? Can it make money its first year of operation? October. We're just urging it to get those horses right there. Oh, it's coming in, it's coming in. Slow it down a little bit. Not that much. You can see it turn it. Here it is. Our first 5 passengers from Fakenham. They always, if it's on long journeys, they always seem to lose a passenger or 2 en route. I'm not quite sure how or why. They get off. Actually, this is a lovely busy sort of station, isn't it? 22k for 4 passengers. That's not bad. And that means it's in profit. And it is currently taking 5 back. I mean, each of these characters do have lives. They have characteristics. Buildings don't have names or anything, so you can see here it's actually identified the buildings within the town where they're actually going to or from, where they work, where they have leisure. Ah, you see this. Ah, now this is interesting, isn't it? This particular person, number 30824. I am not a number. I'm a free man. Well, it may be true, but lives and shops and has leisure in Teignmouth, but works in Fakenham. Interesting. So this is all nice, very nicely modelled. Okay, so where are we? Let's draw this one, I think, to a close. We're running up to the maximum I like to have for these videos. So things are, my new cargo line, the oil and petrol lines, are still losing money. That I think will take a little while to catch up, but we should be moving on. The original lumber is still making a nice load of money, 200 odd K, and all our other routes are in the green. Look at that. Last year we made 455k, and I'm nearly up to $1 million on my balance, so that means I can repay more of this loan. Let's take it down to 1 million. Okay, so we'll call it a halt here, if you will. That's a nicely running little map now. I've got several profitable routes and another one which should turn a profit fairly soon. So the next episode, I think we will establish a link to Gisborough. We'll start developing that and start exploiting some other opportunities on the map. And we'll also have a look, see if it would be viable to put a train in here somewhere. Let's look forward to that. But anyway, from me, Ajax Post, thank you so much for watching this Train Fever Let's Play, number 2 in my series so far. If you've enjoyed it, please give us a like. If you've anything to say in terms of how I'm using the game, suggestions for what I can do next, or just tips for improving my gameplay, I'm by no means an expert at it. I'm just enjoying the fun of creating routes and profits and, you know, the whole thing. You know what it's like. And of course, if you want to join me, keep in touch with what I'm doing here on this and any other videos I create, do subscribe. So from me, until the next time, bye for now.